Have you ever wondered why millions of people keep returning to the same city week after week, year after year? What if I told you there is a place where history stretches back more than 5 centuries, where tropical rainstorms shape everyday life, where presidential decisions have been made behind palace walls, where one of Asia's oldest botanical gardens still thrives, and where every weekend an entire city transforms into the playground of a modern nation? Welcome to Bogor, a city that many people think they already know, a city that most travelers simply pass through, a city often overshadowed by Jakarta. But the truth is far more fascinating, because Bogor is not merely a city near Indonesia's capital. Bogor is a living story, a story of kings and kingdoms, a story of rain and thunder, a story of nature and progress, a story of millions of dreams moving between two worlds every single day. Located just south of Jakarta in West Java, Bogor has evolved from an ancient Sundanese kingdom into one of Indonesia's most important urban centres. Today, it serves as a gateway between the fast-paced life of the capital and the cooler highlands of West Java. Every week, roads and railway lines connecting Jakarta and Bogor become rivers of humanity. Workers, students, families, tourists, entrepreneurs, dreamers. Millions of journeys begin and end here. Yet behind the traffic, behind the crowded streets, behind the endless stream of commuter trains, lies a city with secrets many people never discover. Let's begin with something remarkable. The birthday of Bogor is not based on colonial records. It is not based on modern administrative boundaries. It is rooted in royalty. The official anniversary of Bogor is celebrated every June 3rd. This date commemorates the coronation of the legendary king Prabu Siliwangi in 1481, one of the most respected rulers in Sundanese history. Think about that for a moment. While many modern cities around the world are only a few hundred years old, Bogor traces its identity back more than 5 centuries. Its roots reach deep into the powerful kingdom of Sunda. Its story began long before highways, skyscrapers, and smartphones, long before Indonesia itself existed as a nation. Every year, celebrations fill the city, cultural performances, traditional ceremonies, festivals that honor a heritage still alive today. One of the most iconic spectacles is the colorful Umbrella Festival, where hundreds of artistic umbrellas transform public spaces into breathtaking works of living art. Many visitors who see photographs of the event assume they were taken somewhere in Europe or East Asia. But no, this is Bogor, a city proud of its traditions while embracing the future. And speaking of uniqueness, there is another thing that immediately captures attention: transportation. If Jakarta is famous for its endless traffic, Bogor is famous for something even more legendary: its angkots. The city's colorful public minivans have become so numerous that Bogor earned a humorous nickname: the city of 1,000,000 angkots. Of course, the number is symbolic, but anyone who has spent time in Bogor understands the joke. These vehicles are everywhere. They weave through neighborhoods, navigate narrow streets, connect communities, and form an essential part of daily life. For decades, angkots have helped shape the rhythm of the city. They are more than transportation. They are part of Bogor's identity. Every city has landmarks, but Bogor possesses one of the most important in Indonesian history: the Bogor Palace. Nestled among lush gardens and famous herds of deer, this magnificent presidential residence has witnessed countless historic moments. Foreign leaders have visited its halls. Diplomatic discussions have shaped national policy. Decisions affecting millions have been made within its walls. Indonesia's first president, Sukarno, was known to favour working from Bogor Palace rather than Merdeka Palace in Jakarta. Why? Because Bogor offered something increasingly rare: peace, fresh air, green landscapes, a calmer atmosphere. Decades later, President Joko Widodo would also frequently spend time working here. The palace remains one of the most symbolic places in Indonesia, a reminder that leadership often flourishes not amid noise, but amid tranquility. Then there is the weather. Mention Bogor to almost any Indonesian, and they will immediately think of one phrase: the city of rain. For generations, Bogor has been famous for its high rainfall. Rain is not an occasional visitor here. It is part of life, part of culture, part of identity. Clouds gather, thunder rolls, rain falls, again and again. Yet there is an interesting paradox. Despite its reputation for cool weather, modern Bogor can feel surprisingly warm. Rapid urban development and population growth have transformed parts of the city. Many long-time residents remember a cooler Bogor from decades past. Today, temperatures can rival those of nearby Jakarta, but even then, the rain continues to define the city's character. The storms create dramatic skies, refresh the landscape, and remind everyone that nature still holds power. This connection to nature becomes even more extraordinary when we arrive at one of Bogor's greatest treasures, the Bogor Botanical Gardens. Established in 1817, more than 2 centuries ago, making it one of the oldest botanical gardens in Asia. Imagine walking among giant trees that have stood through generations of history. Imagine exploring thousands of plant species gathered from across the Indonesian archipelago and around the world. Imagine entering a place where science, conservation, education, and beauty come together. The gardens are not simply a park, they are a living museum, a research centre, a sanctuary, a symbol of Indonesia's rich biodiversity. Families picnic beneath ancient trees, students conduct research, tourists photograph rare plants, scientists study species that may help shape the future of conservation. In many ways, the botanical gardens represent the soul of Bogor: green, alive, growing, enduring. But Bogor's relationship with nature also has a more dramatic side: lightning, lots of lightning. Many people know Bogor as the city of rain. Fewer know that it has also earned another nickname, the City of Lightning, and for good reason. Meteorological records have shown unusually high lightning activity in the region. In one notable period, hundreds of lightning strikes were recorded in a single day, far above normal levels. Imagine standing beneath dark tropical clouds as flashes illuminate the horizon again and again. The sky becomes a theatre of raw natural power, beautiful, mysterious, unforgettable. Nature reminds us that it can inspire awe and humility at the same time. Of course, no journey through Bogor would be complete without discussing food, because Bogor is one of Indonesia's culinary capitals. This city does not simply feed people, it creates memories. Every street seems to offer another discovery. Traditional recipes passed down through generations, modern cafes attracting young creators, street food vendors perfecting their craft, local specialties that visitors search for before they even arrive. There is the famous roti unyil, small bread with countless flavours, beloved by generations. There is asinan Bogor, fresh fruits and vegetables combined with vibrant flavours, a perfect reflection of Indonesian culinary creativity. There is lapis Bogor, kupat tahu, traditional Sundanese cuisine, soto, and the iconic Bogor taro. Each dish tells a story, each flavour carries history, each meal becomes a connection between people and place. Food here is not just nourishment, it is culture, it is identity, it is heritage. Then comes the weekend, and that is when Bogor transforms. On Friday evening, waves of vehicles begin arriving from Jakarta. Families seeking fresh air, couples seeking romance, friends seeking adventure, tourists seeking escape. By Saturday morning, roads become crowded. Popular destinations overflow with visitors. Traffic stretches toward the famous Puncak Highlands. Authorities often implement special traffic management systems to handle the surge. What does this tell us? It tells us something profound. People are searching for balance. The modern world moves fast. Cities grow louder. Schedules become fuller. Stress becomes heavier. And when that happens, people look for places like Bogor, places where mountains feel closer, where gardens still bloom, where rain cools the air, where history whispers from ancient roots. Ironically, many local residents respond differently. When tourists flood into Bogor, some Bogor residents choose to stay home. Others travel to Jakarta. It is a fascinating cycle, a reminder that perspective changes everything. The place one person escapes from is often the place another person longs to reach. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson Bogor offers. We spend so much of life chasing distant destinations, searching for extraordinary experiences, believing wonder exists somewhere else. Yet Bogor proves that greatness often hides in familiar places, in the city you thought you knew, in the streets you pass every day, in the rain you stop noticing, in the history beneath your feet. Bogor is not perfect, no city is. It faces challenges, traffic, urban growth, environmental pressures, the demands of modernization. But despite everything, it remains one of Indonesia's most beloved cities, a place where past and future meet, a place where nature and urban life coexist, a place where millions continue to arrive, leave, and return, again and again and again. Because Bogor is more than a destination. It is more than a commuter city. It is more than a weekend getaway. Bogor is proof that history can survive progress, that nature can thrive beside development, that culture can remain strong in a rapidly changing world. And perhaps most importantly, Bogor reminds us that the most extraordinary places are not always the loudest. Sometimes they are the places quietly waiting for us to look closer, the places hidden in plain sight, the places we thought we already understood, the places that continue to surprise us. So the next time you hear the sound of rain, the next time you see a train heading south from Jakarta, the next time someone mentions Bogor, remember this: you are not thinking about just another city. You are thinking about a place where kings once ruled, where presidents found inspiration, where ancient trees still stand, where lightning dances across tropical skies, where millions come searching for something they cannot always describe, and where, if you pay attention, you might discover that the journey you were looking for was waiting there all along. This is Bogor, the city of rain, the city of lightning, the city of history, the city of life, and one of Indonesia's most remarkable stories. But there is still another side of Bogor that deserves to be told, a side that statistics cannot fully explain, a side hidden behind the crowds, the traffic, the tourist attractions, and the daily routines. It is the human side, because every city is ultimately defined not by its buildings, roads, or landmarks. It is defined by its people, and the people of Bogor have spent generations living between two worlds. One world is the relentless energy of Jakarta, the financial center, the business capital, the city of ambition, the city that never seems to slow down. The other world is Bogor, a place where giant trees still shade historic pathways, where mountains dominate the horizon, where afternoon rainstorms can suddenly transform an ordinary day into something magical. Every morning before sunrise, countless residents begin a journey that has become part of modern Indonesian life. They leave home while the city is still sleeping. They walk towards stations, board crowded commuter trains, and join millions moving toward opportunity. For many, the journey can take hours, for years, for decades. The commuter line connecting Jakarta and Bogor is not simply a transportation system, it is a symbol of sacrifice, a symbol of determination, a symbol of dreams in motion. Inside every train carriage is a story, a young graduate chasing a career, a parent working to support a family, a student pursuing a better future, an entrepreneur building something from nothing, a worker refusing to give up. Each passenger carries hopes invisible to everyone else, yet together they create one of the largest daily movements of people in Southeast Asia. And every evening they return, back to Bogor, back to family, back to community, back to the city they call home. This rhythm has shaped Bogor for generations. It has created a unique identity, neither fully metropolitan nor entirely provincial. Bogor exists in a space all its own, close enough to Jakarta to feel its influence, yet distinct enough to preserve its own character. And perhaps that is why so many people fall in love with this city, because Bogor represents balance, the balance between ambition and peace, the balance between movement and stillness, the balance between growth and preservation. Walk through Bogor's neighborhoods and you will discover something remarkable. Modern cafes stand beside traditional food stalls. Contemporary buildings rise near historic sites. Young entrepreneurs launch innovative businesses while local artisans continue centuries-old traditions. The city is constantly changing, yet somehow it remains unmistakably Bogor. This ability to evolve without losing identity is rare. Many cities grow, many cities modernize, but not every city remembers where it came from. Bogor does. Its roots remain visible, its heritage remains alive, its culture continues to shape everyday life. Look beyond the city center and you will find landscapes that seem almost unreal. Rolling hills, tea plantations, mountain roads disappearing into mist, waterfalls hidden among tropical forests, the famous Puncak region rising toward the clouds. For generations, these highlands have served as a refuge from urban life. People come searching for fresh air, for cooler temperatures, for silence, for perspective. And often they find much more than that, because nature has a way of reminding us what truly matters. Standing on a mountain overlooking Bogor, the city appears different. The traffic becomes invisible. The noise fades away. The rush of daily life suddenly feels small. What remains is something deeper, becoming anonymous. A city can continue growing while remaining connected to its roots. That lesson extends far beyond Indonesia. It speaks to communities everywhere, to people everywhere, because we all face similar questions in our own lives. How do we move forward without a realization that cities are not merely collections of buildings, they are living ecosystems of dreams, memories, struggles, and achievements? Bogor embodies that truth beautifully. It is a place where history is not trapped inside museums. It lives in streets, traditions, and communities. It is a place where nature is not an afterthought. It remains an essential part of daily life. It is a place where progress continues, moving forward, while the past remains respected. And in a rapidly changing world, that may be one of its greatest strengths. Because around the globe, many cities face the same challenge. How do you modernize without losing your soul? How do you grow without forgetting your history? How do you welcome the future while honoring the past? Bogor offers one possible answer, not a perfect answer, but a meaningful one. A city can embrace change while preserving identity. A city can become modern without forgetting where we came from. How do we chase new opportunities while remaining true to ourselves? How do we build a better future without abandoning the values that shaped us? Bogor reminds us that these goals do not have to compete. They can coexist, just as rain and sunshine coexist, just as tradition and innovation coexist, just as history and progress coexist. And perhaps that is why Bogor continues to matter, not only as a city, not only as a destination, but as a a symbol of resilience, a symbol of adaptation, a symbol of continuity. For more than 500 years, kingdoms have risen and fallen, governments have changed, technologies have transformed society, entire generations have come and gone, yet Bogor remains, still growing, still evolving, still welcoming new stories, still inspiring those who take the time to understand it. And somewhere tonight, as clouds gather above West Java, rain may once again begin to fall across the city. The same rain that has defined Bogor for centuries, the same rain that nourished ancient forests, the same rain witnessed by kings, explorers, scientists, presidents, and ordinary citizens, the same rain falling on millions of dreams, dreams of people who came before us, dreams of people living today, dreams of generations yet to come. Because cities are not remembered for their size, they are remembered for their stories, and Bogor possesses one of the most remarkable stories in Indonesia, a story still being written, a story still unfolding, a story that belongs not only to Bogor, but to everyone who has ever searched for hope, opportunity, belonging, and purpose. And that story is far from over. Far from the crowded intersections, far from the train stations, far from the famous landmarks that appear on postcards and social media feeds, there is a deeper truth about Bogor, a truth that cannot be captured by a photograph, a truth that cannot be measured by statistics, a truth that can only be felt. Because every city leaves an impression, but only a few cities leave a feeling. Bogor is one of them. Perhaps it is the rain, perhaps it is the mountains watching quietly from the distance, perhaps it is the ancient trees that have stood through generations of history, or perhaps it is the realization that beneath all the movement, all the development, all the growth, Bogor has never forgotten how to be human. In a world increasingly dominated by speed, efficiency, and constant noise, Bogor still offers moments of pause, moments to breathe, moments to reflect, moments to remember what truly matters. Think about the thousands of people who have walked these lands across the centuries, the farmers who cultivated fertile valleys, the traders who connected distant communities, the kings who governed powerful kingdoms, the scholars who studied nature, the scientists who explored biodiversity, the leaders who shaped the future of a nation, the families who built homes, the children who grew up beneath tropical skies, the dreamers who imagined a better tomorrow. Each generation added another chapter. Each generation left a footprint. Each generation became part of a story larger than themselves. And now, whether they realize it or not, millions of people continue writing that story every day. The student boarding a commuter train before dawn, the street vendor preparing food for morning customers, the gardener caring for rare plants inside the botanical gardens, the entrepreneur opening a new business, the artist preserving cultural traditions, the teacher inspiring young minds, the parents sacrificing everything for their children. They are all authors of the next chapter. They are all helping shape the future of Bogor, because a city is never truly built by governments alone. It is built by ordinary people doing extraordinary things every single day. People who keep moving forward despite challenges. People who refuse to give up. People who believe tomorrow can be better than today. And nowhere is that spirit more visible than in Bogor. For centuries, this city has adapted. It has survived political change, economic transformation, population growth, technological revolutions, environmental challenges. Yet through it all, Bogor has remained resilient, not because change never came, but because its people learned how to embrace change without losing themselves. That lesson matters now more than ever. We live in an era where the world changes faster than at any time in human history. Artificial intelligence is transforming industries. Cities are expanding at unprecedented speeds. Entire ways of life are evolving before our eyes. Many people worry about what may be lost. Many wonder whether traditions can survive, whether identity can endure, whether communities can remain connected. Bogor quietly answers those questions. Yes, progress is possible, growth is possible, innovation is possible, and preserving identity is possible too. The city proves that modernization does not have to erase heritage. The future does not have to destroy the past. Development does not have to eliminate beauty. Because the strongest foundations are not built from concrete, they are built from memory, culture, community, and purpose. Perhaps that is why visitors often leave Bogor with something unexpected. Not just photographs, not just souvenirs, not just memories of food or attractions. They leave with a feeling that life can move forward without losing its roots, a feeling that growth and gratitude can exist together, a feeling that success means more when connected to something meaningful. And maybe that is the real reason millions continue returning, not because Bogor is perfect, but because it feels real, authentic, grounded, alive. There are cities that impress you. There are cities that entertain you. There are cities that amaze you. But there are very few cities that remind you who you are. Bogor is one of them. As the sun rises above the mountains, as morning trains begin another day of journeys, as rain clouds gather across the horizon, as families share meals, as students prepare for classes, as businesses open their doors, as history and future continue their endless conversation, Bogor keeps moving forward, patiently, steadily, confidently, not trying to be the biggest city, not trying to be the loudest city, not trying to be the most famous city, simply becoming the best version of itself. And perhaps there is wisdom in that, because the world often tells us that greatness comes from being noticed. Bogor teaches something different. Greatness comes from having purpose. The tallest tree in a forest does not grow because it seeks attention. It grows because it stays rooted. The strongest river does not flow because it seeks recognition. It flows because it never stops moving. The most meaningful cities are not always those with the brightest lights. They are the cities that continue inspiring people generation after generation. Bogor is one of those cities, a city born from history, shaped by nature, strengthened by resilience, driven by dreams, and carried forward by millions of people who call it home. So when the rain falls once more across the streets of Bogor, when thunder echoes between mountains, when commuter trains race through the morning mist, when visitors arrive searching for escape, when families gather beneath ancient trees, remember this. You are witnessing more than a city. You are witnessing a living legacy, a place where the past still speaks, a place where the present continues to evolve, a place where the future is already being written. And long after today's crowds disappear, long after today's headlines are forgotten, long after today's generation becomes history, Bogor will still be here. Its mountains standing watch, its rain nourishing the earth, its people carrying forward the dreams of those who came before them. Quietly, proudly, endlessly. Because some places are more than locations on a map. Some places become symbols. Symbols of endurance, symbols of identity, symbols of hope. Bogor is one of those places, and its story has only just begun. And if the story of Bogor has only just begun, then perhaps the most important chapter is the one being written right now, this very moment. Not in royal palaces, not in government offices, not in history books, but in the lives of ordinary people. because history is often misunderstood. Many believe history is something that happened long ago, something preserved in monuments, something locked away in museums. But real history is alive. It breathes, it grows, it changes every day, and all around Bogor, history is being written in ways that most people never notice. A young child opens a school book and dreams of becoming a scientist. A small business owner takes a risk and starts a new venture. A farmer tends the land before sunrise. A commuter refuses to surrender despite the challenges of daily travel. A student studies late into the night, believing that education can change a life. These moments may seem ordinary, but when multiplied across thousands, millions, and generations, they become extraordinary. They become the foundation upon which cities rise. They become the force that shapes nations. They become the stories future generations will one day tell. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson hidden within Bogor. The realization that greatness is not built in a single day. It is built through consistency, through resilience, through patience, through people who continue moving forward even when progress feels slow. Look at the ancient trees of the botanical gardens. They did not become giants overnight. They grew one day at a time, one season at a time, 1 year at a time, for decades, for centuries. Today they tower above visitors from around the world, not because they grew quickly, but because they never stopped growing. The same can be said for Bogor itself. For more than 500 years, it has continued evolving, storm after storm, generation after generation, challenge after challenge, never perfect, but always progressing. That is a powerful lesson for anyone watching this story, because every person faces their own storms, moments of uncertainty, moments of disappointment, moments when dreams seem impossibly far away, moments when giving up feels easier than continuing. Yet nature teaches us something remarkable. Rain does not fall forever. Storms do not last forever. Clouds eventually pass, and when they do, growth often follows. How fitting that one of Indonesia's most famous cities is known as the City of Rain. Because rain is not merely water falling from the sky. Rain is renewal. Rain is transformation. Rain is preparation for something greater. Without rain, forests cannot flourish. Without rain, rivers cannot flow. Without rain, life itself struggles to survive. The very thing many people complain about is often the thing that creates beauty. And perhaps life works the same way. The difficulties we wish to avoid often become the experiences that make us stronger. The challenges we fear often become the moments that shape us. The storms we endure often become the reasons we grow. Bogor understands this better than most places. For centuries, it has lived with rain, adapted to it, learned from it, thrived because of it. And in doing so, it offers a message that resonates far beyond Indonesia. A message for anyone pursuing a dream, anyone building a future, anyone searching for purpose. Do not fear the storm, learn from it. Do not fear change, grow with it. Do not fear challenges, overcome them. Because every great story contains obstacles. Every meaningful journey contains hardship. Every lasting achievement requires perseverance. Bogor's story proves it. The city could have remained trapped in its past. It could have become merely a historical footnote, a forgotten chapter, a relic of another era. Instead, it chose growth. It chose adaptation. It chose progress, without abandoning the values that made it unique. That balance is rare and increasingly valuable in today's world.